it's time for a new video. So today, I've had trouble figuring out what to talk about, but today I think I have something, because I have to tell y'all a story before I get into that. Baja Point Break Punch, Baja Blast, but not Baja Blast, it's pink, I don't know. So I have been taking trips to Seattle because I think it's pretty cool. This last weekend I flew into Seattle and then went down to Oregon. I was gonna go to the Hoh National Rainforest, which is really cool, an Olympic National Park, but it was just really cold and windy and rainy, like with it really windy and rainy. Of course, it's a rainforest, it rains, but I don't like being cold and wet, so I didn't go there. Went to Aberdeen, Washington, which is where Kurt Cobain grew up and is from, and then Astoria, Oregon, which is the town where they filmed The Goonies from the 80s, which is one of my childhood favorite movies. And then we went to Cannon Beach, which is another big location from The Goonies in Oregon. That's where Haystack Rock is. It looks amazing. It's so cool. But yeah, just kind of went all over the Northwest. Went into Portland to eat some food. Then Seattle, ate some more food. Seattle is just, I really like that area, and I'm gonna move there. I'm totally gonna move there. I love Utah, but there's just something fresh, I guess is the word to put, about the Pacific Northwest. I really like it. I really like the coast there. It's just cool. I like it. I think it feels more up my alley than Utah does. That's it. Again, I really like Utah, but I'm gonna move to Seattle eventually, or the Seattle area, and that got me looking at work. What am I gonna do for work? Because this company doesn't have any terminals around there, at least not within a couple of hours. And I'm not gonna go 2 hours of work every day, so I gotta figure out, am I gonna stay at this company?
All right, let's go ahead and back her up. Let's get that center spotted.
Am I gonna stay at this company until I move, or am I going to find a job at a company that has a terminal here and there? If it's regional, a couple hours away ain't bad. But I really would rather have mostly home every day. But
right there.
yeah, I'm looking. I'm getting loaded. Hold on.
Let me run out there real quick and I'll check what looks good.
All right, so I was looking on Indeed for companies that had terminals here and in Washington, and there's quite a bit that do either regional, like a few days out at a time, or a local. I feel like local, I'm gonna have to look when I get there. I do know Domino's
Yeah, that works perfect.
pays a ton of money for their drivers. I don't know why they pay so much, but that's local once I get there. But I don't know if I could work for them here. I'd have to look into that. But I applied to this one job. It was a car hauling company. I'm not gonna name names. But on Indeed, the ad said it was regional, out 3 to 5 days. That makes sense. Terminals everywhere, so I could transfer it from here. And the pay was $140K a year. That sounds unbelievable, because it is. And I'm like, I'll bite. I applied, and I got a call back and talked to the recruiter. And the regional part was correct. It was out 3 to 5 days. That makes sense. But then the craziness started when she started telling me everything else. She's like, okay, you're gonna have to fly out to Michigan for 2 weeks. It's unpaid training for 2 weeks in Michigan. One, I hate Michigan, can't stand that. And unpaid training for 2 weeks? Are you insane? And then you go out with a trainer for 2 weeks. The pay for that is only $125 a day. So for 2 weeks, that's just over $1,000. Again, out of your mind. And then it's not $140,000. It's $85,000 possible in your first year, which probably means you're going to make 60. And I'm just like, no, the ad was nothing like this. So it got me thinking, of course, you know, trucking companies and recruiters will lie to you. And it just reminded me, you know, it's important to ask a lot of questions, and in either the interview or asking the recruiter. Recruiter's going to say whatever they got to say to you. When you're in the interview, ask questions. And even then, it can still bite you in the butt. You could get into a company that completely lied to you. And that's happened to me once. The first time a company, like, straight... No, I'm not lying. I'm lying. Central Transport, who I've repeatedly said was a really bad company, and I don't know, the company is bad, the location I was at was really bad. They didn't really lie to me, but they were just really unorganized, and the equipment was really crap. So I left there pretty quick. Performance Food Group out of Denver are the ones that really straight lied to me. So when I applied on Indeed, it was with a company called Mile High Energy. And I applied, and the first person I talked to said that, you know, do you have your hazmat? Yeah, because you're going to be dropping propane tanks off at different businesses. Okay, cool. That was it. And they said it's with a hand truck. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I've done that before. I did that with Cisco. And it was like 4 interviews. And each interview, they would tell me something different. And finally I got into one interview. They didn't even outright say it. They kept alluding to it. You know, food service, but they never outright said it. I was like, is this food service? And they were like, yeah. Well, that's not dropping off gas tanks, is it? It's food. Turns out, yeah, it's PFG. I finally figured out it's PFG, which is basically the same thing as Cisco. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine, I can do it. You know, it's cool. I told them my experience with Cisco, how the company was fine, but the workload was just insane. And I was like, how are your routes? Like, how long are the routes? How many stops? How many hours a day? They said it's about 10-hour routes and no more than 10 to 12 stops, 10 hours. And you're driving to Wyoming one day and picking up a trailer, doing a couple stops, and then you'll finish everything else. Next day, off Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday you work, off weekends. I'm like, 4-day work week. For not, you know, for a good amount of money. They didn't lie about the money, but they told me, you know, 10-hour routes, 10 to 12 stops, and they did tell me the equipment was running through Penske, so the Penske was just really slow. They did not tell me that the equipment was just absolute garbage. The trucks weren't great because they were rented through Penske. And they must have been renting the cheapest, crappiest trucks. But also the PFG trailers were just junk. I've gone through this a couple times about how PFG just kept sending me just garbage equipment to work with, and to the point where it was unsafe. And when I threatened them with reporting to OSHA and refusing to work, they suspended me, so I quit. I was like, you guys are out of your minds. They straight up lied to me about how long the routes were. They lied to me about how many stops there were. The workload just increased each week. They just put more and more on there, and I'm like, this is not possible. You know, one person can't do this. And when I told them one person can't do it, they put another guy with me and then put more stops on. And I'm like, that's not how this works, man. They're just completely out of their minds. But it did, yeah, that's happened to me, you know, a company that lied. And I know a lot of trucking companies will lie to you. Recruiters will lie to you because they're getting a commission based on how many people they hire. So when you're looking for a job, have a list of questions that you're going to ask, like, how much am I going to be paid? You know, and make sure you get all this stuff in writing too. And like, you're not really signing a contract unless you're like a freelance, not freelance, but, you know, owner operator or whatever. Maybe you'll sign a contract. I don't know. But make sure all this is in writing. How much you're going to get paid? What are your routes like? You know, the equipment. You know, are you responsible for anything? You know, just there's a lot of questions you should ask to make sure you're not getting screwed. You know, if you're applying for a job that's going to be regional and they start sending you all over the country, that's a problem. You know, if you applied for a job that was going to be paying you $100,000 a year and you're only making 60, that's a problem. If you applied for a job that was going to only have you working 5 days a week and off weekends, and they consistently have you working out on Saturday or Saturdays, unless it's your fault. Like, you know, sometimes when I go out to Vegas and I don't want to drive the whole way back on a Friday, I'll stop and just do like a few hours on Saturday. That's not the company, that's me. But sometimes some companies, and I've had this happen too, some companies will just keep you out on the weekends when you're supposed to be off. And I'm like, dude, like, you gotta make sure you ask a lot of questions about, you know, what that job's gonna be like. Make sure you pick the job that you know you want to do, and make sure you get all of it in writing. They're gonna give you an offer letter, and it's almost like a contract, but it just tells you how much you're getting paid and what you're doing at the job. And you want to keep that, because when you bring that up and they're like, oh, well, this and this and this, no, that's in writing. This is what was supposed to happen. This is how much I'm supposed to be making. Now, it's a little bit different when you get into a job where you're supposed to be making one kind of salary and then things just slow down because freight slows down. There's no control over that. That's not the company's fault. But who's that? If they tell you one thing and then do something completely different, then they lied to you. And, you know, that's an issue. But it happens a lot. I think everybody's going to run into that in their trucking career. And I've never had this happen, but I do know a lot of truckers have had it where trucking companies kind of screw around with your pay and try to nickel and dime and cheat you a little bit. And that's never really happened to me. But I do know people it has happened to. I know people that have had dispatchers that wanted them to run unsafe, really late hours. You know, when you're used to working days and they want you to run overnight out of nowhere, like, that's not going to work, because your body clock's just, no, it's not. You're going to be sleepy and driving tired, which is deadly. So also say no to dispatchers when you need to. If they want you to do something stupid, say no, that's unsafe, or that's not what we discussed in my hours and my schedule. You know, I don't like to drive at night. If I got to drive past the sun, I don't want to do it. If it happens, you know, occasionally, it's fine, whatever, but I'm not going to do that every night. That's why when I tried refrigerated, I only did it for a little bit and went back to dry van, because refrigerated, you're delivering all these warehouses at night and they want you to drive overnight, and I can't do it. My body just gets too tired. Once it gets past like 11, you know, if I'm driving, I'm falling asleep. Can't do it. But yeah, trucking companies and recruiters will lie to you. They'll try to jerk you around. They'll try to make things vague or convoluted, so that you are confused. And then when you get into the job, they've got you. And then you're looking for a job again. It's like, it's so annoying. I hate job searching. You know, I'm in it right now because, like I said, I want to move to Seattle. I really wish this company had a terminal there, and I might still have to talk to them and see if that's an option. I don't think it will be, because I was supposed to be going up into like Oregon and Idaho and Washington a lot with this route, but apparently a lot of those contracts just ran out, and the Vegas, like Las Vegas, picked up a lot. So I've been going to Vegas a lot more than I was. But if there was a way to have a dedicated route with this company, just Washington and back and forth to Utah, and I could live in Seattle like that, I would stay here, because I like this company. You know, it actually works really well. But yeah, I think eventually I probably won't move to Seattle this year. I wish I could, but saving money is tougher than it used to be, because stuff's expensive, man. So it'll probably be like, you know, the first part of next year, the end of winter, early spring when I move. And I really want to. I think Seattle would be pretty freaking awesome. Food's great. Portland, food's great. I like it. I would like to stay in bulk tanker, but you know, if I do go back to anything, it would be dry van, hopefully. I'm willing to try flatbed again. You know, I didn't really have a problem with the flatbed work. It was really seasonal, but that was back in 2018, when the pay was only like $50K. and now the average pay is like 80 to 90 for a lot of flatbed companies. So I think it could work out. I'm willing to try that again. But I don't know. I'm just in the searching phase right now. But yeah, moving to Seattle, trying to make sure I don't get lied to and jerked around by trucking companies and recruiters. That's fun stuff. Yeah. I'm getting loaded. And this load is supposed to go to Twin Falls, Idaho today. I don't think I'm going to go because it's kind of late. It's already 12. I probably won't get loaded until like 1 or 2. And that'll put me past midnight getting home if I go and deliver today. And I don't really want to do that. That's super late, man. Like I said, I don't like driving tonight. My body doesn't want me to do it. So I'll probably go home and play Fallout. Did y'all see the show? The new Fallout show? Bruh, it's so good. I've been a Fallout game fan for years. I've been playing Fallout for like almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. It's like 16 years when I played the first Fallout game. It was Fallout 3. Which came out in 2008. Holy crap. I feel so old right now. But yeah, the Fallout show finally came out on Amazon, and it is super good. I mean, if you haven't played the games, you might be a little lost because of they don't really explain anything. They just go. It's for fans, you know. But the show's really good, and the games are getting a resurgence. So I reinstalled Fallout 4 on my PC, and I've been modding it and playing it and having fun. Cool, good stuff. That's it. That's my life right now. Hiking and camping, and video games. And traveling to the Northwest. All right, I'm gonna get off here. Y'all have a good one.